Hi there. Thanks for stopping by. Today is the third Friday of the month, and if you've followed my channel for a little while, you will know that that is Sketch Collaboration Day with the ladies over at Crafty Concepts with Erin. We have been working our way through the sketches on page 28 in the annual catalog, and so this is this month's sketch. Super simple. It could stay as a single page layout. You could stretch it and make it a double page layout, but I'm staying with the single page because I only have 3 photos to scrapbook. Pictures I have are of my son's dog Lucy, and she is just adorable. Look at that face. So sweet. I think we should all scrapbook our furry friends and have memories of them. So I'm going to be scrapbooking these today. And I'm going to be bringing in the papers from the Peaceful Garden DSP set. There's a workshop, and they have some matching glitter paper and just really pretty paper. It has several neutral tones. We have some, this is, I believe they call it cloud cover. To me, it looks like Pool Party. I'm actually using it as Pool Party. Some beautiful stars, mid-tones, some more, white on blue. Just a lot. You see, I've cut into it. I don't have a whole lot left of some of the pieces. But the pieces that I think that I'm going to be using today are going to be these 3 right here. What I'm thinking is, based on our sketch, I am going to do the background in this tonal piece. It's not white, it's not beige, it's got a really nice little texture to it. So that is going to be my background. For this piece that is anchoring the photos, I want to do this plaid. Again, to me, it's Pool Party. But I want to add or bring in a little bit more because to me this is just a little bit too simple. So I thought bringing in this really pretty crumb cake pattern paper would be really cute. I'm thinking just maybe bringing in part, maybe about a 6 or 7 inch piece, and that way it can kind of anchor it down on this side. And it's going to be simple, but my embellishments are going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to cut these down really quick and be right back. I cut my papers down, and let me give you the measurements really quick. On the more crumb cake piece, it's 4 1/4 by, let me see, 10 1/2. There are no measurements on those sketches, so this is all just what I think is going to work. And then this plaid here is 9 1/2 by 8 1/2. So we're going to put this one here. I'm going to give it about a 3/4 inch border on top and an inch border on this side. So I'm going to bring this one over to about the 11 so that I have about the same equal distance on each side there. Just going to balance that there. And then bring in my pictures out like this, and then you just layer them up. I have a really cute, embellishment for my title, which I use these and a large snowflake just to bolster up my title. But super cute. You get a lot of different dyes, a lot of snowflakes. You have a nice pine cone, some extra sprigs just to fill in. So let me bring these in. And what I'm thinking is I cut a little, whatever the shape is, a banner or so for my title so that I can put my title down. That came out of the Peace on Earth, which coordinates with the Peaceful Garden suite. That comes with 2 nesting dies for kind of like a title spot or a sentiment spot. So on there, I'm going to just put Lucy. As you can see in the sketch, they have the title down here with several spots for journaling. I'm not going to really have any journaling, probably going to put the date, but that is probably about it. So I'm moving my title way up here to the top and building a little bit larger cluster down here, one here, and then like I said, I have a cluster that goes with my title. So let me just bring in my letters for my title. This is from the Alphabet a la Mode, that tall, skinny alphabet. I actually wanted to use both of these dies, but this is the largest one, so I couldn't get the letters onto the smaller one. It wasn't big enough, so I'm going with just the one. Just going to do Lucy there. This blue is Misty Moonlight, which I think coordinates really well here. And I'm going to bring in again another Misty Moonlight. This is again the dark side. I haven't adhered anything down, so I can just slide everything in and just kind of get it balanced. I have a lot of snowflakes, and these snowflakes are really fun. Let me bring them in really quick. The stamp, it might be a little hard to see. I'll take off my cover sheet here. But the center of all the snowflakes have these 3 little dots, and they line up with the dots in the center of the smaller snowflake, or they have a couple of different centers. So you just line them up. I did this snowflake here, which is this one here. I did the outside in Misty Moonlight, and then came in with this one, lined up the dots. You have to play with it just a little to make sure, because it isn't perfectly symmetrical, to get it laid in right. And then I brought in the Pool Party, and that's how I did all of my snowflakes. They're all done in Pool Party and Misty Moonlight. So we're going to bring in, let's see if we're bringing a big one over here. I'm thinking a nice, let's see if we can maybe get a large one in on this side, because otherwise I'll be going off the layout. I really liked the reverse stamped color, combination. I liked it with the dark color and the lighter in the middle, but those came out quite cute as well, and I think that gives it some nice variation. So we'll put a couple of those here. I don't think I'm blocking too much because it's just the tree and a little bit of her leg. I brought in these silver sprigs, so I think silver is the perfect color for a winter layout, especially a nice icy cold one. So I thought I'd kind of build those up there and maybe bring another one in over here behind this snowflake. Let's see, right like that. I have these background ones, but I don't think those are going to work unless I were to like stamp and then maybe emboss or something. So I'm going to put those ones aside for now. There were a bunch of tiny little snowflakes in the set. Let me see if they're from this set. I do have to apologize. Let me go grab the other set this one is from. These little snowflakes actually came from the Frozen Edges, which was from last year. And it is a Stampin' Die set, but you have a bunch of these little tiny snowflakes. And I just did the snowflakes. I did not do the outline. So did them both again in Pool Party and in Misty Moonlight, and figured we could scatter a few of these around on the layout. There's a couple different designs. I think those look cute. Let's bring in maybe a few of these down here to bring in a little bit more of the darker blue. One over here. And I do like the ones that are a little bit more intricate. You can kind of use them like sequins if you think about it. Do a cluster of 3 or 5 just to have that odd number. Maybe we'll add one more over here on this side. Scooch that up a little bit. And then, like I said, these pine sprigs, when you put them together, you can just glue, I think it's about 3 of them. They are little, they get stuck really easy, but you can make a huge snowflake like that, and then a large one that can go right over the top. And I have one all glued together to show you. So I built up a large snowflake again, and what I did, I ended up cutting them apart. I do have to apologize. I wanted them to come out further. You could have them in for in the center, but then not too much sticks out. And at first I thought, oh, this would be a crazy cluster. But then I was looking at my title and I thought it was a little simple and a little plain. So I thought, well, let me try sliding the snowflake underneath it. And just move it around and get a good position. And I'm thinking I'll possibly cut it in half, so I'm only getting like the top half. But I really like the way that looks, so I'm going to balance that out just a little bit better, just so that you can see all the sprigs, and then just cut off what's underneath since we're not going to be seeing that. But I really like the way that looked. So let me start tearing down my photos and putting some of my embellishments in place. Pictures are all adhered down. So let's just start building up our clusters. I glued the letters down for my title. So that is going to go right about here. I did cut this one in half. So I will use the other half. Let me see here. I can use that as an embellishment on a different layout or a card or something like that. So I'm going to bring this in so it's going to look something like that. I actually really like that. So I'm thinking maybe we should pop this up. I have some dimensionals here, or some foam squares. So let's give that a little bit of height real quick. And then we'll just adhere the snowflake embellishment. We can do that directly to the layout. So one more. Peel off our backers. So like I had mentioned, this is a collaboration with the ladies over at Crafty Concepts with Erin. I will leave the link for that collaboration in the description below, so make sure to go check out the other ladies' videos. So we're going to place this one. I'm going to kind of center it with the photo right there. And then I'm just going to take some of the Barely Art glue. I think that might be the easiest way to get this attached. And I'm just going to slip it in right like that and just kind of try to balance those snowflakes. Give it a little press down. So totally loving that. This is such a great paper pack. I'm not huge on the doves. There's something about the back sides of most of these paper packs that I absolutely love. So I normally tend to use the reverse sides, but I just love this crumb cake. I used it in another layout, and this plaid just so pretty. So let's start building these up. I think I'll pop this one up and maybe slide these down. Let's see, maybe we should do with those reverse colors. So touch those ones underneath. Let's do something like that. What I love about this stamp set, you can make your snowflakes any color. Whatever color works for your layout, you can coordinate them. They're so easy to line up and pop and die cut out. Absolutely love this set right now. So great to make some beautiful Christmas cards, since Christmas is coming fast. So quick and easy. So let's get these backers off. I think a little dimension will be nice, and then we can slide those other ones right underneath. So okay, I absolutely love the way the color of Lucy's fur actually ties in really nice, and her light colored eyes all just seems perfect. So let's see, let's slide those out just for a second and get a good position on this. I think I'm going to add just a touch of glue just so I can have a little bit of wiggle room to move this around and get everything into position. Make sure I like the way I'm laying it down. And then let's slide these just here, just to get a good, okay, that looks good. So let me get some tape runner. We'll get this slipped underneath. And same with this one. As you can see, I always reuse paper, especially when I've made something I don't like. So that is looking great. Let's bring in some of those silver, the silver foliage or leaves, or actually love this one set. This is from the Textured Florals. I actually use this a lot on a bunch of different layouts. So got that a little stuck there. So I'm just gonna come flip this over a little bit, just add a little bit of glue to the back. I don't need the tops to be adhered down. I kind of like the way they sit there kind of loose. I'm gonna pull this one off, add some glue, but I think I'm gonna tuck it back just a bit more. That I want to hide that larger spot, so that frames that in nicely. Let's bring in a couple of these cute snowflakes. I want to just kind of tuck them in behind. I don't want them floating around. We could just tuck them in, something like that. And like I mentioned, kind of like, you know, adding bling, which we will be bringing in a little bit of that too, most definitely. Maybe we'll use it to put in the center of our snowflakes. I think that might look really cute. So let's get these little guys adhered down. Let's see. Pull that up just a bit. I like to see some of it. Here we go. Looking really good. Let's bring in this tag now. This tag is, I think, from a paper pumpkin. It's this really super large one. I actually don't subscribe to Paper Pumpkin. I did for a couple of months. I just don't have enough time to make all the cards. So, but this one was one of those add-on dies that you could purchase additionally. So let's find our tape runner and add a little adhesive to this. And we'll tuck that in behind the picture up here in this corner. We're going to have to find some ribbon to fill in that hole. Definitely need to add a snowflake, but I think this needs to be popped up as well. I do love dimension, so foam squares, I use them a lot. I think it's a simple way to add dimension without adding too much bulk. These are super thin. I don't know if you can see, but they're very thin, so they don't have a whole lot of loft. So it's not going to add too much bulk to your layout. So let's see, we'll add that there, let it hang over the layout just a bit. Going to add another one of these sprigs here. I like using the glue, holds it down, and that way the top can be a little loose. Lift that up just a touch. Like in that. Let's bring in a couple of, scatter a few snowflakes around. I love these big ones. This one is really pretty, but I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. So let's add these few. Let's see. Let's play with that just a little bit. Let's see. I'm definitely liking this one here, so I'm going to commit to this one. Have it hang over the edge just a touch. And let's see, what else do we have here? We do have one more, but I think that might just be a little too much. So let's see if we can line these up and see what we got here. Thinking I like that a little bit better, so why don't we add that, and one more here. Loving that. Let me go grab a little bit of bling so we can add them maybe to the center of our snowflakes. I went ahead and grabbed the traditional sparkling sequins. These are super flat, but super sparkly. And I think I want to use these blue ones. So I'm just going to bring them in to the middle of my snowflakes. I'm not too sure. We'll check and see. Maybe we'll put them into the solid ones as well. That was initially my idea, but I kind of like them on these. So get those all adhered down. It does hide the three little dots, but I'm okay with that. I think it actually adds, oopsies, just trying to do it with my fingers. There we go. Right there. And I really like the sparkle they add. Let me see about adding maybe larger ones into the middle of these. Bring in just a little more sparkle and shine. Let's see how that looks. I can always take them off if I change my mind. But I'm actually really liking that. I like the little glitter that it brings. I know it's not a Christmas layout, but it is winter and it needs some sparkle and shine. So let's get a few more added there. A couple more. And I just want to put a couple around my title block as well. A couple of these medium and then the small ones. So I'm going to do just a cluster of 3. One right there. And there you have it. That was a quick, easy layout. Let's just bring it in and check out some of that little sparkle. I'm hoping you can see it on camera. Really happy with the cluster above my title. You could have always taken the other half if you had the room and put it down below. Got a big cluster here to kind of fill in this little spot here. I think that came out right. Did want to add a little bit of ribbon there. Let me go see what I have in my stash. I found this blue ribbon in my stash. It is called Bordered Ribbon. I believe it is a Stampin' Up! One. I don't know if this is old from before or if it's current. I'm not sure. And then I also have this really pretty silver thread. So what I'm thinking, I'm just going to feed this through here like this. I'll trim up my edges. And then I'm going to take that silver thread and we're just going to give it a little tie. I don't want too long. You know, let me go grab a little bit longer piece. It's easier to work with than that little tiny piece, and I'll just trim off my ends. And we will just tie that in place using this opposed to tying a knot or a bow. So it's something like that. I'm going to trim those shorter so not to hide my snowflake too much. I'm just going to do a square knot. Let's get that one through. There we go. Here we go. And then we're just going to trim those up a little shorter. Let's get this one just a touch shorter. And then we can just cut those. I'm going to do them in opposite directions like that. So just a simple little topper for that tag there. It does hide that snowflake, but since I did adhere it with glue, there's no way I can move it. I'm going to grab a glue dot just to hold this down a little bit better. So I'm just going to take one of these mini glue dots. I'm going to kind of roll it up just a little bit. I don't need such a huge one, but I don't like the way this is sticking up. So I'm going to attach that to the back of that ribbon, and then I can just press it down and maybe just angle it a little bit off to the side so that we can still see our snowflake. at least a little bit of it. So this ribbon frays very easily. Let me just trim that one more time. Just get the fuzzies off there. There we go. There we go. That looks good. So let me bring it in real quick one more time. And again, like I said, this is a collaboration. So I will list that. I'll have that link down below for you to check out everybody else's videos. They are all such amazing crafters. So I will also leave all the items that I used in the description below in case you're interested in any of those. And I hope to see you soon on my next video. See you soon. Bye-bye.